Let's think about something for a second. In a school with no hallways, how do you notice that quiet student who's just starting to fall behind? Today, we're going to dive into how the IO Virtual School answers that question. They've built this fascinating framework they call the School of One, and it's all about providing personalized support in a completely online world.
Yeah, this really gets to the heart of the challenge, right? How do you spot a student who's struggling when there are no hallways to walk down, no classrooms to just pop your head into? It's the fundamental question every single virtual school has to figure out. So here's our game plan for seeing how they do it. We'll start with their whole School of One philosophy. Then we'll break down their three-tiered support system. We're also going to look at the specific roles the teachers play, walk through exactly how a referral works, and finally see how data, not guesswork, is driving every single one of these decisions. All right, first up, a school without hallways. Now, this isn't just about the physical reality. It's the jumping off point for their entire approach, which, as we mentioned, they call the School of One philosophy. You see things like empower families and unleash potential, and it's easy to think it's just educational jargon. But this really gets to the emotional core of the system. It's a promise, really, a promise that every student is going to be seen and supported, even if it's through a screen. So what is this School of One, really? Well, it's a philosophy that is absolutely built around personalization. The whole goal is to meet students exactly where they are, academically, behaviorally, emotionally, and then give them the specific tools they need to take charge of their own learning journey. Okay, so you've got this great philosophy, but how do you actually turn it into action? That's where this three-tiered framework comes in. This is the structural backbone of their entire approach, and its real power is that it's designed to be proactive, not just reactive. So everything, and I mean everything, starts with Tier 1, universal support. Think of this as the strong foundation that every single student gets. It's the high-quality curriculum, the engaging instruction, and the clear expectations that are all designed to help the vast majority of kids succeed right from day one. 100%. Just let that sink in for a second. Every single student is a Tier 1 student. This isn't some special program. It is the program. And in practice, this means that every teacher has a set of non-negotiables. So beyond just great instruction and building a sense of community, they give these universal screenings 3 times a year. This is basically the system's checkup. It's a data snapshot of every student's academic health. But what happens when that strong foundation just isn't quite enough for someone? Well, that's where Tier 2 or targeted support comes into play. This is for those students who need an extra boost, using evidence-based help that's usually delivered in small groups. And you can see here, while every student gets that Tier 1 support, the goal is for only about 15 to 20% of students to need this extra layer of Tier 2 help. It's definitely for a significant group, but a minority group nonetheless. And the actions here get really specific. We're talking about things like data-driven small group instruction, high-dosage tutoring, or even personalized reading and math plans. It also includes social-emotional learning supports to help with things like focus or organization. And the crucial part? Progress is monitored constantly to see if what they're doing is actually working. And finally, we get to Tier 3, intensive support. This is for that small number of students who have really significant, persistent needs that just weren't met by those first 2 tiers. This is the highest, most individualized level of support the school can offer. And we're talking about a very small slice of the student population here, usually around 5%. In fact, you can almost measure the success of the whole system by how small it's able to keep this number. Really strong Tier 1 and 2 support is the best way to prevent students from ever needing Tier 3. So the actions here are, as you'd probably guess, super intensive. This means one-on-one support and formal plans, like an individualized learning plan or a behavior intervention plan. It involves weekly team meetings focused on just one student and really rigorous documentation of every single step. Okay, so we've got the system, but who actually runs it? Let's talk about the human element, because the distinct roles of the homeroom teacher versus the content teacher are key. The easiest way to think about it is this. The homeroom teacher is the case manager. They're monitoring the whole student across all of their classes, and they're the main point of contact for the family. The content teacher, on the other hand, is the subject expert, totally focused on the academics in their course. This dual structure is absolutely critical. It makes sure someone is always looking at the big picture for each student, which keeps them from falling through the cracks between different subjects.
All right, so let's get practical. How does a student actually get moved into Tier 2 or Tier 3 support? This is where the formal referral process comes in, and it's how they put this entire framework into action.
Now, this is probably the single most important rule of the entire process. A formal referral is never the first step. A teacher is expected to try and document their own Tier 1 supports first. This really empowers the teachers, and it makes sure that the system's most intensive resources are saved for the students who truly need them.
And the process itself is incredibly methodical. It all starts with that initial support that the teacher documents. If that doesn't work, then a formal, data-informed referral gets submitted. A team then meets within about a week to really analyze the root cause and create a formal plan, which then gets implemented and monitored super closely. It's a clear, step-by-step path to getting a student the help they need. This brings us to our final and maybe the most important piece of the whole puzzle, this core principle of using data, not guesswork. It's all driven by a continuous improvement cycle. This 5-step cycle gets applied to everything, from one student's plan all the way up to the entire school's strategy. It's a really simple but powerful loop. You assess the data, you prioritize the need, you plan the intervention, you implement it, and then, this is the key, you evaluate. Did it actually work? This creates a culture where they're always learning and always improving. So, when you put it all together, what's the big takeaway? This system isn't just a reactive safety net that's there to catch students when they fall. No, it's a proactive, data-driven launch pad, and it's designed from the ground up to find and unleash every single student's potential. And that leaves us with a pretty provocative thought. I mean, what if every school, virtual or not, knew this much about its students? What if this level of intentional, data-driven support wasn't the exception but the rule? How might that truly change the future of education? Thanks for joining this explainer.